Well, very happy to be 1-0. It's the first time in the history of our program, even though it's something we talk about often, you know, the 1-0-1-0 game, but we're mostly alluding to the regionals. And so I'm obviously very happy, very proud of these guys. Knew Texas A&M was not going to fold. You put up a 5 spot with Brendan McKay on the mound, and you think some teams might just cave, and knew they weren't going to do that, and they really battled back, had a lot of great at-bats against them, and fortunately our bullpen stepped up as it's done all year, and we trust our bullpen, and Brendan handed the ball over to Sam, and then Sam to Lincoln, and then offensively we kept competing. So it wasn't our best game of the year, but hopefully we understand now, as we've seen 2 on TV and we played in 1, these games aren't always the cleanest. There's too much competition. Everybody's playing too hard. It's not supposed to be smooth and easy. You just got to grind it out. And I thought today our guys did a really good job of grinding it out.
Danielle Lerner, Louisville Courier-Journal. Colby, what is going through your mind when you're at the plate and there's 2 outs? How do you keep yourself in the zone?
I mean, really just thought about staying really short today. Not trying to do too much with it. Like I said, I got down early in some counts on some really good pitches, and then just shortened up and try to do as least as possible and just try to move the baseball.
Well, Brendan, how do you kind of feel about your stuff today?
Early on, it was working well. In the first hit of the game, through like 11 or 12 pitches, and probably 90 to 95% of them were quality pitches, and he was just making good swings to keep moving the count and keep working the count to get a pitch where he can handle. And he finally got one that he could handle a little bit more, and he got on base. But outside of that, I worked out of a lot of jams. It's hard to pitch effectively when you're in jams like that. But I think throughout your career you learn how to pitch and how to minimize, which worked today.
Devin, just talk about the experience coming out in Game 1 and what the whole environment seemed like for you guys when you were taking the field.
Yeah, no, it was exciting for sure. I remember when a guy hit the double down the right field line for A&M. I'd never been in a stadium that was out that loud before. But it was exciting. This is what we live for. This is what we've worked so hard for, and we got to kind of manage that excitement and turn it into focus, I guess, for 9 innings or however many innings we have to play each game, and make sure we get a job done.
Devin, you guys have had a couple teams try to come back and take away early leads from you this postseason. I think it was Radford did it, and maybe one other team in the regionals as well. How do you maintain that focus? Like you said, you have this atmosphere added to it as well. So how did you guys do that today?
Well, I think we've had a lot of preparation for moments like that. We practice hard. We have control scrimmages all the time, which kind of mimic the situations that we face in games like that. So I think we're just prepared, and we have the confidence, and we trust in all the preparation that we've had. So when those moments do arise, we're prepared for them.
For Brendan, you're at bat in the second inning. Looked like that they did not want to give you anything to pull. Were you thinking that you might be going opposite field there?
First time through the order, you're just trying to feel out the zone a little bit. I had a little bit of an idea of the zone, from throwing in the first inning. So I kind of understood the zone. He wasn't giving much either way, and it was a fairly straight up zone. So I was just looking for something that you could handle. He spotted well, and he kept the ball down in the zone. So I think somebody said, I watched the replay, and that ball was dotted on the black. I don't know how you hit it that well, and it's a game of baseball. People make perfect pitches, and guys figure out how to hit them. It's weird.
Colby, what did you see behind the plate today from Lincoln and Sam in the bullpen? What made them so effective?
They just came right at the guys. There was no dilly-dallying around with them. They kind of got the first pitch strikes majority of the time, and then after that they were able to kind of work the counts and work the hitters in the way Coach Williams wanted to. But I think most importantly for them, majority of the time they were getting the first pitch strike and then able to work from there.
Well, Dan, we talked so much about Brendan, Colby, and some of these other guys throughout the season, but what has Sam kind of meant to this team? He did a great job out of the bullpen today.
I thought Lincoln spoke well when he received the Stopper of the Year award. He congratulated the bullpen because he recognizes how talented our bullpen is, and anytime you have a great closer, you got to have a bridge to get to him. And it's something we take a lot of pride in. I think Sam's been the X factor, little under the radar. I think he just received a third-team All-American, but when you look at the numbers, they're very impressive. And just sometimes when you're in that first out of the bullpen or middle relief role, it's just not as sexy. You don't get as much attention. But clearly, Sam's been hot all year, and we trust him. But we also, Wolf and Sparger and Elliott and the guys that didn't pitch today, it's a good feeling. That's, the question was asked, are you going to take one of your starters and move them into the bullpen? And I don't blame teams for doing that, but I said, no, we're not. We really like our bullpen. We're not going to mess with what we have going there. We trust those guys.
Dan, I guess it looked like the bottom half of your lineup was almost the table setters today. I guess how much of an impact did they have on your offensive output?
I think all the teams that are here, it's what, there's not a lot that separates you from teams that necessarily don't make it, but the top teams in the country really have good bottom of the half, the lineup. I thought A&M did a good job because we contained their first three hitters, and then it seemed like it was the second half, man, right through the middle and the bottom we struggled with. And all year, we got Josh Storrs hitting in the 8-hole. It's probably going to be a middle of a lineup hitter next year guy for us, and Colin Lyman, a senior, in the 7 spot. So it's something that, throughout the year, it's the difference. Everybody's good 1 through 5 across the country. It's usually that 6 through 9 that can separate you from being a good club to a special club.
Today, though, it was, Colby, who's in the top half of the order, who really made the difference for you guys. It seems like it's someone different every single game who's really doing it for you. What does the depth in your lineup mean coming into Omaha?
You have to. There's in the regionals, there's 3 or 4 guys that are super hot. In the supers, you get a couple other guys that are really hot. If you just live and die off of a few players, unfortunately, you're gonna fail, because the great hitters still only hit 35% of the time, or maybe 40% at the most. But you have to have that balance up and down your lineup. And I said it before the season started. Even losing Solak, Ray, Smith to Barry, all those older hitters, it was amazing that we still were pretty old this year. We have a freshman in the 9-hole today, but yet we still have a lot of old guys in the lineup with the 2 seniors, Lyman and Taylor, and then that big junior class with Fitch, McKay, and Hairston. They were up here along with Ellis, and then you got the sophomores and Mann and Storms. So I think that the age of our lineup definitely helps us.
Dan, you mentioned just the significance of going 1-0 here in Omaha. Obviously, 10 years ago, getting the win against Mississippi State. What do you remember just about that day, the events, the emotions, and all of that, and how does that kind of compare to today, getting this win today?
Well, for me, we've got 2 wins in Omaha, and they've both been on Sunday. They've both been on Father's Day. My dad was here in 07 with my Uncle Rich, and even though he wasn't in the best shape, he was here, and I got great memories of that. And so today, in my back pocket, I kept the funeral card from my dad. It's an Irish blessing, and my dad was a good Irishman, and he loved life. So I remember just putting that in my back pocket, thinking, man, my dad would love this today. So Father's Day has been very good to the Cardinals.
Last night when you watched the teams that jumped out to the lead and kind of, to say that the other teams didn't win, but they kind of gave it away. They made some mistakes. They let the teams back in the game. Did you emphasize executing pitches, executing in the field today, knowing when you jumped out of that 5-0 lead?
Well, just well aware that, as I said in the opening statement, teams aren't packing it in. There's no way. They're just not packing it in. They're too confident, too talented, too much pride, too well coached. I was well aware after the 5-0 lead, the way they came out and they were swinging it and they cut it to 5-2, and we had a hiccup that inning. I mean, we had first and second. We didn't get a bunt down. We had a guy picked off. We don't come away with a run, and that just gave them momentum. So we talk about it. I mean, we address that stuff with our players, and the emphasis, in the postseason is we're playing every pitch, every out, every inning as if it's our last. And we don't say that by putting pressure on them, but it's about, and you heard Devin talk, it's just the focus. You want them to stay focused. You don't want them taking their bat to the field. There's no time to feel sorry for themselves. So all the things, coaches preach throughout the year, you hope it really sinks in the postseason, and you have to play every pitch.
What was the decision between putting Levy in to pinch hit and then Summers in to pinch run?
Fitz is a really good player, but I felt like I don't mind ending the game with McKay on the field, McKay and Ellis, the two juniors. So it was just an opportunity to get a young hitter and at bat. Levy's a really good right-handed hitter. We plan to move Fitz to short next year, and Levy's going to fight his tail off to be the third baseman. So, as coaches, these kids work really hard. You can't play them all, but when you get opportunities to play guys, you want to play them. Summers is my senior base runner, phenomenal defender in the outfield, phenomenal base runner, and I said it on the post-game radio show because people are listening to Sean and they can't visualize what's happening. But if you're in the stands, and I don't take for granted Ryan Summers scoring on that ball. A lot of base runners won't score on that ball. That's what we call a one-out read. We work on one-out reads every single day. The most important base running activity in all of baseball is the one-out read. When a guy gets a base hit, can you score from second? And I thought that run was huge. So for me, I was glad to get a couple guys on the field, and not only did we get them on the field, that they helped us score a run. And that just shows the trust that I have for our players and the depth that we have.